What's up, fellow van builders? Welcome back to Vandingo. It's Scott, and I am out at the Sprinter van today. We're going to work on, let's call it lighting day. So I ordered from that great retail destroyer, Amazon. They're a retail destroyer, but man, have they got a great business model. Anyway, I ordered exterior lights, and I've got some light brackets as well, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing for my van and see whether or not, something that will help you in the choices you make for exterior lighting on yours. I happen to have an 80/20 roof rack, and so I'm going to put a light bar. I've already actually kind of done some test fitting. A light bar up on the front. This van did not have fog lights, so I've put ditch lights on. I'm going to put ditch lights on. I just put the brackets on. And I'm going to put some fog lights up front, very near the front license plate. And then some side lights and some rear lights. So I guess we're going to call this Light Palooza. And there's no hiding that this is a camper van. No way. So I'm not worried about that. For me, it's more about convenience and the kind of lighting I need to make your trip safer and convenient when you're at a campsite. Those types of things. That's where I'm at. And the brand I chose was Nilight. Real good value. So for me, inexpensive with high ratings, at least on Amazon. Here's what came in the other day, and I'll just give you a sense for what I've got here. These are Nilights, and they're the 9-inch RV exterior lights. And these will go up on the side of the van on each side, and these are amber, and they'll point down because they're going to mount like this. They're going to mount like that on the side of the wall and point down to your campsite. And with that light comes a nice little pad that goes on the back of there. So that's a template for you. You've got these hole punches. And then in my case, I'm going to need to do one more hole into the van. So again, this will sit on the side of the van pointing the light down, and it's amber. So that's that one. These lights probably went a little too significant on these. These are like mini light bars. And they will go on the back of the van pointing backwards. So one probably straight down or down, and then one out on either side. It's good packaging, nice quality, looks like quality work from Nilight. So that's good. All right, now the one ring to rule them all. This is the switch panel. Comes from Auxbeam. And this is the wireless control multifunction switch panel. Got it off of Amazon. If you're interested, the SKU right here, QP010985. And this is really pretty impressive for the price, I think. Here's all of your stickers that are going to go on the panel itself. There are 8 total locations, and right now I got 7 lights, so 8 locations. That's good for me for the exterior lights. And then it's got its own fuse panel, has a nice array of cords, positive and negative, the control cord with some good distance on those. And then also, it's got like its own remote, on, off, and what lights you want to turn on if you're outside the van. And a pretty good sized fuse to put in line to your battery source. So that's good. Now, the one other one that I'm going to get to right now is this. And it's empty. That's because I took it out and I did some test mounting. This is an LED light bar from Nilight. It's a 42-inch curved light bar that's going to be attached to my extruded aluminum, or is currently attached. So let me just show you that. Putting it back together is my neighbor rototills his garden. Perfect for recording, but he's got a great garden. Slidable. Feel like it could be, it's sticking a little too far out this way. So let's see. It looks like aiming, I could aim this thing down almost like that, which I'm never going to do. It's going to be out more than anything. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so this light, again, is going to be the back of the van. And I'm going to position this one on the driver's side, back of the van, straight out. So this is just a plastic film on here. That's why it maybe looks a little strange. But I'll leave that on until I get the mounts on. And this was the hardware bag that came with it. You've got your 2 feet and the rubber grommets for those 2 feet. This came with the other Nilight light bar that went on the front of the van. Let's go on there. They'll be important when we cinch it up to the extruded aluminum in the back. And these, we're not going to need the rest of this hardware. The rest of this hardware in the bag is for mounting it to something. Anything like a push bar, bumper, or you name it. These heads right here actually go through and hold like that. But for me, I need to be able to turn that head because it's going into extruded aluminum. So this actually doesn't work for me. But it'll work for a lot of applications. All right, so now we're just going to put the essentially put the mounting feet on here. And mine are going to go straight back. Actually, they go like this. They go straight back like that. Got too many things in my hand at once here. Okay, it can be adjusted later, so just want to sort of snug it up a little bit so it doesn't flop around. There's the one. And then we're going to put this one on the other side. And what's amazing about this, if you were mounting this to like the curved, this may be kind of confusing, but if it was a curved light, at least in my case, it mounted like that, and you just tighten this down appropriately and tighten this foot part down appropriately, and it holds, which is crazy. I wouldn't have thought that. Let's see. Okay. So that's how it's going to go if it were on the back of that extruded aluminum right there. And we can go put that one on. But wait, before we go, we need to get the bolts. These are going to be turn-in bolts because this the extruded aluminum that I'm using up there has already been captured, so it's already got locks on both sides. So you need something that rotates into the side, and then these will go in there. So that's what we're going to take. So I need 2 of those for each side of this light. And then that's it. Let's go put it up. I'm going to do this roll-in T-nut. Need 2 of these for extruded aluminum, at least, if you're doing this kind of application. And you want to eyeball. Let's get that thing to. There. You want to eyeball where the feet are going to hit. So, way over here for that one. And over here for this one. Let's not drop that light. I think I want to go. Yeah. And it feels like threads started there too. Good. Yeah, so this one's easy. I wanted a light that would go straight back behind the van. Not sure how many times I'm going to use such a light, but I think it's going to be helpful for visual on a dark night. In your in a camping area, let's say, hopefully you're not going to disturb any other campers, and you want to see where you're backing up to, this light will absolutely light up the area. All right, that's in. Now I can loosen each side here if I want to tilt this, so when I put the light on the other side out here, which will be bumped out that way, this will tilt down to have a light that lights up the back area where doors open up. Or don't need the doors open up, but it'll point straight down, be quite bright. And your electrical connections are back here, red, hot, black ground, and along with the other lights I'll be mounting we're going to find one location to bring them into the van instead of bringing a whole bunch of different ones into the van. I mean, they'll be all together in a sort of a mini wiring loom. So that's super stout. That's not going anywhere. Nice. I like it. Oh, you can take this off now. There we go. There's a better view. That looks good. It's lower than the air conditioner that's back there too, so that's good. Then I know my air conditioner housing is the highest point on the roof. For this next light, I need to build an extruded aluminum extension that comes off of there, comes out and goes back in, and then I'll be able to put this light right here. All right, so believe it or not, I had some scraps back there, and so these were cut-offs for the front project, as well as, no, this was a prior project. So with some roll-in T-nuts, and I'm a 1, 2, 3, 4 roll-in T-nuts into this extruded aluminum, I believe this takes me out far enough, because I need another 3 inches for the light that I'm going to mount to this. So I'm going to start with this, and certainly the beauty of this adult erector set is you can redo things. Feeling pretty stinking tight. And that's pretty stinking stable. Yeah. So I made sure to get close to this gusset triangle piece that holds my Fiamma awning and holds this part of the rack up. So that, I think that's probably helped the process. All right. Tighten these down. I'll loosen this one up first to make sure I got that as close as I can get it. Boy, I put a crank on that. Why are you so tight? I mean, you're on there. All right, well, I'm gonna leave it as is. Yeah, these babies are tight for sure. Okay. I get a little turn here, so I might get a little vibration on the light there, but not much, nothing hardly at all here. So next step is to mount the light on here. So I changed the angle. Let's see if that works. And yeah, I think that's going to be just fine. All right, just need to tighten these down, off to the races. All right, I think round 2 just showed up here. Let's look. Yes, indeedy. Round 2 has arrived. I really do hope these are in good shape. Amazon driver threw the box down, basically. I could hear it crash on the ground. LED off-road lights. Wow. Oh, that's a mounting kit. And those are the ditch lights. These are the amber ditch lights. Okay, that's a mounting piece there, so that's okay. All right, that looks like it's intact. Another one. Again, looks good, looks intact. Here's all the hardware and power wire and controlling button. And this looks like the mounting feet right there. So that's good. Again, I think it's the hardware making all the noise. And that is a lot of hardware. Oof. Now these also are amber, just like the ditch lights. And let's see what we got here. This just looks like promotional stuff. Nope. Directions. Wow. Installation, you got to put that in there, put that bracket on, and then to be able to mount it. Well, good. Okay. Let's see what these babies look like. Yeah. Nice. Stout housing. Cooling fins. That's seems to be some really nice construction right there. So that's cool. All right. Starting to look at the directions. This bolt actually has a nice seat with the ridges on both sides there. It goes right, kind of right in there, I think. And can move up and back depending on how much room you need. And this whole bracket can slide this way a little bit as well. Bring this bracket out. Just put that back there for now. Hopefully I can find it later. Okay. I sort of kind of did it. And you can move it a little bit. And I got room back here. That first fatal flaw was having the bracket backwards. All right, they're in. Looks pretty good. And again, I can move these out to here and here if necessary, or move them in. I have to see what that beam, the cast of that beam looks like when I get them wired up. So that's cool. All right, so as I said, no instructions in this particular case for these ditch lights. So I'm kind of guessing here. Washer, lock washer. And the bolt, and there's 2 short bolts and 2 long ones, so I'm assuming the short bolt is for this. Okay. And this appears to be 14 millimeter. Okay, don't need to get it too tight actually, because we may need to move that around. And now that I'm thinking about it, I should have put that hardware in there, right? So I got to take that off. Well, rats. Live and learn. I just saw that slot back there, and that looks like it is intended for a specific purpose. See if I can hang on to all this stuff. All right. So I'm going to hang on to that with my finger, and this will go in there like that. I believe. All right, and then I see I've got another washer, lock washer, and a nut available. All right, we're gonna move over to the car and see how this mounts up. Wow, that is awfully close to the paint. Hopefully we don't have an issue there. I may go find myself a shorter bolt to handle this. We'll have to see. Okay, and the reveal. Bam! Ditch light number 1 is in on the passenger side. Okay, that looks pretty good. Ditch light number 2, driver's side. I gotta tell you, extruded aluminum is the freaking best, man, when you want to just quickly customize something and make it work. So I got the one that points straight back, which is what I wanted. Mind you, I still got to run cables. And then I got this one, as you watch the curve, kind of points straight back down to the area back here when you got the doors open. So just made a little box, put some end caps on it to clean it up, make it look good, right? Elbows on 2 sides. It's pretty stout, so I think it's going to be just fine. It's going to ride just fine. So that's the 2 in the back. I like those, and they're white light, right? Those are white. And we got the 2 in the front. We got the ditch lights on each corner, and up top is the light bar. And I just took a ride down to Lowe's, which is a good highway opportunity for me, just to see if I had any noise out of any of this, and nothing appreciable that I could discern. So can't wait to get that sucker hooked up and see what kind of glow it puts out. That'll be fun. This Auxbeam, whoop, I got it upside down, is a poor man's version of an S-Pod and does all the things an S-Pod does, I think. And there's probably numerous places you could put it. Like I've seen some people put it right down here in front of their drink holder. But frankly, that's like bending down kind of low. I don't think I want to cut into plastic. I could put it up here. You know, this is sort of like cardboard. And I got a video on the channel where I dropped this whole headliner. It's all doable, done it before. But you got to cut into that sucker, which is fine. No big deal. But I was looking up here. Why not that? All right. All I got to do is, I could even 3M tape that sucker right there. It's out of the way. It doesn't look too goofy, in my opinion. It's a cleaner, kind of a cleaner install. So that's the front runner right now. So I got the Auxbeam stuff set up out here this morning, thinking about the best layout for everything. This is the wiring for the ditch lights. This is the wiring for the two front fog lights. Both of these are amber. And then here's the various things that come in the Auxbeam switch panel kit. And I was just looking at how best to mount this in the van. So over here, I have Cascadia 4x4. That's a charge controller for the solar panels that are on the front engine hood. And this is a bracket that comes with the Auxbeam. And I think I can get screws up under here and up under here if I just rivet this to this panel. This panel can be riveted to, and that way I can put the control panel down here, or I should say the, I don't know, electrical, what is this called? Multi-function switch assembly, electrical switch assembly would go down here. So I think that's a good spot for it. And then I can access the battery from underneath the van, and then I can move wire through this gland into the interior of the van. So the complicating thing for this Sprinter is there's no battery here, right? And this is sort of designed to work off the starter battery. So as we all know, the starter battery is up underneath the floor here. But then if you connect everything to that, you're gonna have wires up and out of here going to your various componentry. And I don't think I like that. So I can route everything out through here, go up here, up to the switch panel, which I plan to put right up there. And then the passenger side, well, let me show you. So according to the instructions of the Auxbeam, you need to get to, and this is the fuse panel for the main vehicle. There's another one up under the driver's pedestal, but this is the main operational fuse panel for the vehicle. And it's underneath your kind of your hitch and recovery stuff that goes down in there. So we got to take that off to get access. One of these fuses will be the accessory lead that will turn on your switch panel when you turn the key on your vehicle. So we got access there and ability to route things as needed up underneath the mats. So I think that's the plan. Challenge is that light up there and the two I mounted in the back just have wire leads off of them. Once you get your entry point gland in there, you can snake it along here and then route it down to the controller. It may have to run stuff back out through the gland from those lights that are on the roof. And we're back to the switch assembly. So this is first order of business for me, is to get this bracket mounted so I can rely on this being the base on where I'm going to connect all the other wires. And incidentally, based on this room that's in here, you are going to have a challenge. I think it's fully doable of getting the arms for your riv nut tool down in there so you can get the riv nuts in. And if there's a reason why the riv nuts don't go in, ultimately you could use some like sheet metal screws to make it happen. All right, I got my marks down there just below the Cascadia 4x4 charge controller. There's a mark there and a mark there. And I'm going to use a step bit, this right here. I'm going to go up upside down because of the amount of room is limited. I find a step bit cuts in easier and gets to your riv nut size quicker. rather than having a really long bit, right? Because you can run into issues of pushing it through the other side, and we don't want that. And my advice is stainless steel riv nuts, just for, you know, limiting the amount of corrosion once you open up sheet metal. So we're going to open those holes up, scrape them out, vacuum everything, paint it, my usual method, which is an ear cleaner and some Krylon paint. So we'll paint that up, and away we go. This can go quick, so make sure you have your riv nut in there and you can check sizing. I don't think this is quite big enough yet. All right, that's the one. Okay, so I've got the M6 riv nut on the end of the appropriate fitting on my riv nut compression tool, and I've painted both sides and let time for drying go by, and now I'm going to go through the gyrations in this small compartment area I have to see if I can get those things clamped down in there. So I'll see you on the next steps. Okay, so the riv nuts are both in. I did pick these up at Lowe's. There's a stud right here that randomly is coming through this fender well. So I'm just gonna put that baby right on there. And then I have already screwed down the switch assembly system, and I've put those same bump out rubber donuts there because I wanted to come out a little ways from that charge controller. So I'm going to get my 10mm and I'm going to gently screw those in. All right, there we go. Pretty clean install. And under here we got some battery connections. We got the controller connection. This is where all the lights will come in. You have to have the appropriate fuse amounts, fuse levels, and you know, away you go. These correspond to the buttons on your controller that's inside the cab of the Sprinter. And now we got to get the rest of the wiring. And then I've already gone ahead and put a negative ground wire. And it's the ground wire that came with the Auxbeam switch package. So that one's already on there, and I put a stud bolt right here to ground the system. So now I got to find a hot. This is the gland into the cabin, but I'd rather not. I'm going to look under the van and see if I can find a way to the battery box that's very near the driver's seat. See if I can get a connection to the positive and bring it up through here. I'm going to have to custom fashion this positive. It'll be a red wire, the same thickness. Okay, let's use the multimeter and see if we can find a connection to the battery underneath. All right, I think I've got a target-rich environment here because here's some pretty heavy-duty positive cables coming up through here. Now there's a gland over on this side that goes straight up underneath the driver's seat. This is just in front of the driver's seat, the battery box. And there is what looks like a battery terminal mount right there. Holy cow. That looks like a battery terminal. So for most of you that are going to be mounting this to a conventional car battery right up underneath the hood, you're not going to have to go through these gyrations. But if you are a Sprinter van owner and want this, this is a good way to go. My house batteries are way in the back of the van, and that's possible too, but I think I would prefer, I'm gonna check and see if we got some decent, yeah, 13 volts on the ground and that hot right there. So that is gonna be the location for me. It looks like I just spin that screw off right there, and away we go. All right, so really good news for me. These self-tapping stud screws, I should say, worked great. This is in here very securely, and I would have had and used what's in the kit, one of the longer positives that's in the kit, and connected it. So now this fuse, which is, when you're doing this work, make sure your fuse is triggered and not connected. And then now I'm going to take the lead and connect this to that battery stud I found underneath. All right, gang, I was able to get this off on a Sprinter van. That's a 13 millimeter, believe it or not, which is goofy. And then this is going to be our lug. I'm going to put this lug on like that right there. And I'm going to make an attempt at hand crimping this. Should work. Let's see. Get it right where I want it, frankly. Let's see if that held. Yeah, that held. All right, time for some heat shrink. All right. We're gonna go right up here. Actually, I wonder, those are fuel lines. I think it keep it under that just in case any kind of service has to happen there. Although I don't think it matters much because you can undo this. Okay. So I had to bend this positive in straight out so the cover would accept it. One of the things that was an epiphany to me was you need to kind of understand your space. You know, it's pretty tight here on this wiring loom, tight here on this ground stud. Barely got that to go in there, that cover. So think about your cover, your space management. I almost wasn't able to get that bad boy in. Listen, when you're fishing a wire through the firewall of a vehicle, in this case, a Sprinter van, necessity is the mother of invention. Look at what is sticking out from this thing. That's to fish wire behind walls, but I got it stuck right through that firewall. It's a bunch of thick foam in there. It's really hard to get it to maneuver much for me. So I just need to get the controller, a couple of things, the ACC and the controller lines connected. That has to come through the firewall. So you can see I'm strung out here all over the place. And up under here is, there she is. It's a taped up line to try to pull it through that wall. And I really don't have to come very far, but I do have, it's a pretty bulky item. I hope I don't tear it. Holy crap, there it is. All right, we're making progress here. I got spot number 8, combining both right and left ditch lights into these ferrules. I'm about ready to do the same. I've combined the hot, and I'm getting ready, or the negative, getting ready to combine the hot for the front amber spots, the front amber spots that I have. They're basically going to be my fog lights, since this vehicle didn't come with fog lights, which should be illegal, frankly. Somehow they got around it. Probably because it's designated a truck. Who knows? All right, ferrules. Let's just test. Yep. All right, so I'm going to do wire management here when I get done. So bring these down here. Now these came with from Nilight, the two front floods, or what I'm calling fog lights. They came with a 25 amp fuse. So there's no 25 amp fuse designation here. It's 30 amp, so I'm bumping it up to 30 amp. And then I'm just going to get these in here. Negative side first. Okay. All right, what's up, guys? I'm running a stranded 16 AUG wire, and that's going to be positive and negative for the light bar. Doing the same, and I can see I've run these all the way back there. I've already wired up one of them, getting ready to wire the one that's over on that side, over there. And yeah, I'm going to use this gland to take all of the upper exterior vehicle lights and roll them down into the cab, and then down to the Auxbeam controller. So just finalizing that, and I'm going to put a hole in there, and then we're going to put lap sealant around it and clean it up, and should be good to go. Why is there a pie plate on the roof? On the inside, well, it's a bit of a collector, if you will, because up top we've got a bit of a moat, and the reason is because we're getting ready to drill a hole through the roof. Okay, we're through. Now it's about how wide to make it. Uh-oh. Okay. Thought maybe I'd gone through my pan, my catch pan. Don't think that's big enough yet. I picked up this grommet, which will go in here, and I've estimated the diameter of all the wire that needs to go in to the inside. That hole's definitely not big enough, so we got some more step bit drilling to do. All right, that's enough. That should go in there. So I'm going to clean that up, paint it, and prepare for the next step. This pulls all the burrs off your metal, so you get a cleaner surface. All right, so we got this all done. There's a grommet down under there. The wires are going through it. We're gonna put lap sealant around this, get that all secured. But just to take you inside, pulled the insulation back. I got all the wires coming through here. This is Campervan application. Behind here, I'm gonna put some wire cover on those because there's some sharp edges up and through there. I bring it back down through here, pulled this whole B-pillar off, and put the wires all the way down through this B-pillar. They come out here, do a little wire management to keep them together, and then I snake the wire puller through there and pulled them through there and then took them through the gland. There's that gland up in there, and there's a lot of wires going through there into the engine compartment. And out through this gland, I need to put a zip tie on that and tighten it up once I get everything set. But I've got everything on here according to volts and amps, and light bar up here. I got some of the rear lights I just put on here, and so that's rocking. We're in good shape. Still gonna mount that straight up there. I like how that works, so that should be easy. And then run the wire appropriately. But for now, let's turn on that front light bar, see what happens. Okay. She's on. All right, let's see what these lights look like. Nice. So we got one pointing down for reasons with the back door open so you can see what you're doing, and you got one pointing straight back just to open up and have a pointer back there if you're backing up and there's no lights. So that turned out well. All right, so I'm gonna clean this up, meaning this whole sheet metal area here, and prepare to use some construction adhesive and get that thing glued down. And because it has a tendency to turn, I'm gonna put some weight down on it once it's glued down. But let me show you the stuff I use to pull this off. All right, so first off, we're gonna use this isopropyl alcohol and clean up the whole sheet metal area and take a run underneath the plastic of that solar gland. And we're using, this is that maximum strength Gorilla Glue, which is 100% says waterproof. And so it's clear. I'm sure it'll turn yellow over time. Make sure it's the sticky, nasty stuff. So make sure you got some gloves. This is simply here as a weight that's gonna go on top of the solar gland to hold it in place once it's glued. And then plenty of, paper towels to handle the mess that comes off of this thing. Now, I'm not planning to put any screws down on the gland, so I got to kind of hold it in place, and hopefully this, with a combination of the weight, gets it to adhere pretty quickly, so I don't have to worry about it twisting up there. But if it does twist, it's not the end of the world, just as long as it covers the hole. So that Auxbeam is screwed up there, actually using bolts and lock nuts, and it's very simple. All right, I got some wire loom around the wires and just cleaning this up, and I used some Gorilla hang tape, which is just some really strong tape. And I had a sharp spot right here where it makes the corner and goes down here into the B-pillar. So I took that wiring loom and covered all of those wires, make sure this is as secure and free from, jagged edges as possible. And then I used electrician's tape around it. So just doing a little cleanup, make sure it's as tidied as possible. All right, got that ceiling glued back up with some contact cement. By the way, this is the tubing, flexible tubing I picked up. Both Lowe's and Home Depot carry it, and it's pretty cheap there. I think one bag of this stuff is like $3, and they give you two sizes. They give you a 1/2 inch, 3/8 inch, and a 1/2 inch. Actually, this one's just 3/8. There's another brand, one of the other I've had both kinds, and when it's 3/8 and 1/2 inch, they're actually inside of one another, and you take the smaller one out of the package. All right, so just as a reminder, I mounted the switch panel up there on the overhead shelf and changed the color of those buttons to just a light plain color because for whatever reason, for me personally, it was sort of irritating my eyes with the green ones, and didn't really care for blue. But you can pick anything you want on the spectrum when you do the setup. And I still need to put the light stickers that go on there and designate each of those buttons, which I'll do. Now, when you open up the manual on page 1, depending on whether or not you have an Android or an iPhone, you're going to want to hit that QR code. That'll give you an app, and the app on your phone is hooked via Bluetooth and through a antenna. And I mounted the antenna kind of an odd place. I put it right here. The antenna can either be magnet that you peel off the bottom, and there's a pretty strong magnet on steel. This happens to be aluminum, so it's got 3M stuck on there, pretty tight, and the wires go all the way up there inside the engine compartment and connect where that antenna is supposed to connect on the switch panel. So that allows you to easily use your phone and use this remote control that they give you as well. And this remote automatically pairs once you hit the on-off button. You take a little battery tab out of there, and I'm not sure how often I'd use this. I'd probably use my phone more often than I would this, but it's kind of cool. Let me show you how easy it is to work it. All right, so I said you could turn this into an ambulance. Watch this. I mean, it's almost going to cause an epileptic seizure. It's just kind of crazy. I'm not sure I would ever use that. All right, to prep for the stickers that go on these buttons, the directions say start with a mild detergent and water, which is dish soap, and clean these. And it says don't touch them with your fingers. I guess if you get your oils on there from your hands, you're not going to get the stickers to adhere. So I'm just using the mild detergent first. And then the next step, it says to take some rubbing alcohol and clean the same spot. Okay, rubbing alcohol on that microfiber cloth. Make sure don't touch it with your fingers. Okay, this is your button identifier stickers. And we're going to grab the ones we need and stick them up to each of the appropriate buttons. Starting with the ditch lights. It's funny, you get your fingers on here after you've done all the cleaning, so I don't know how important that is. Let's put it up towards the top of that. That's number 8 for me. So, all right, there's the finished product. It looks a little funky because these coincide with the amps of the fuses, right? So light bar takes the number 1 position because it has a stronger amp draw. Same with fog lights. And the backup lights, the cargo lights, and the cubes, the ditch lights, has the lowest amp draw. So kind of funky. And then they give you blanks if you don't have lights or switches or something that you're using in this spot. So I put the blanks in there. So that cleaned up pretty nicely. All right, gang, thanks for joining me for the Auxbeam switch panel install. This thing has got so many features and it can do so much. You can customize it to your heart's delight. Hopefully this video gave some education about how I plumbed it into my van and got it going. And I will tell you, it's kind of fun to have, although I don't know how much I'm going to use it, it's kind of fun to have this little device to trigger your lights and play around with it. It's like 160 feet transmission distance. So again, kind of cool. I'm not sure practically how you're going to use all those. I do know I'm going to use fog lights, which is kind of why this got started. And I also wanted to have lights that went down in the cargo area behind the van. Hey, just found out one slick little reason why you should have this remote. This is cool. So I'm behind the van, obviously, and let's say I'm going to, I don't know, do some outdoor cooking or something, or I'm going to get into the back doors at night. You can trigger, if you don't have your phone with you and you have this in your pocket, you can trigger this thing while you're walking around the van. And then look at this thing. This is kind of a handy deal, right? So working on whatever out here and you want to put that down for a minute, magnetized, obviously right to steel. So that's cool. Just discovered that. I think Auxbeam's a good product. It's competitively priced compared to what you can buy out there. And certainly I installed it on a Sprinter van, but I think it would equally install nicely on whatever vehicle you want to put these types of lights on. So again, thanks for joining me. Give me that thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber to Vandingo, and look for additional videos to come. Be good. Bye-bye.